Alright, so I'm currently having some trouble with that build, trying to figure out exactly how I want the mechanism to work. So what I've decided is I'm going to pivot, work on something else for a little bit, and come back to it later. So I got all my stuff out for inspiration. My books, and all kinds of little bits of glass and wood and whatnot. So I got this idea. I guess I'll show you what I was looking at. So I don't know that these red knobs on these lamps are actually the buttons that turn them on or off, but they look like they were, and I really like that idea. So what I have here is a sketch of what I'm thinking. So basically the idea would be to have some sort of lever coming out of the side that would just float here that I could click down against a button inside to turn it on or off like that. So a lot of this design I kind of got to figure out as I go, but I've got the first couple steps in mind. I'm going to route out the slot for my lever, and then I'm thinking about hollowing out a space inside for the button. Alright, it's been a couple days, so I'll bring this over to the lathe now. So now I'm just trying to work out this switch mechanism. I have this button. This is from a floor switch, like one of those ones you step on. Just trying to map it out, so like if it goes here, I think that action works pretty well. So I need a way to secure the button here. And then I also need a way to secure this with a, I'll drill a hole through it and then use like a pin. Alright, so it's been about a day since the last clip, and the reason for that is that it took me a minute to kind of figure out how I wanted this all to come together, but I'll show you how it works now. So you drop the button in there, and the spring, then I made this sort of washer, drops on top. So that washer locks down the button, and it helps a little bit with the spring, but the spring kind of just sits in there. And then basically I built these two small walnut brackets. So these hold the pin, the pivot pin for the lever arm. So you push that through, you can drop this in. You can have the same one over here. Basically you get the pin through there like that, and then both of these walnut pieces also get screwed down in that. And now there's tension against the lever arm and the spring. And so now you can see how that it's pushed up into the very top of the slot there, nice and flush. It's also fully disassemblable like you just saw. So I'm really stoked with how it came out. Alright, so bad news. I poked through the bottom of this lamp here. So the last footage you saw was from a couple weeks ago, and in the weeks since I decided a couple things. First, I decided that this was not working. This brass staple that was a pivot from breaking through on one side, trying to kind of work the design with the mistake, this just isn't working. So I took all the hardware out of here, and I made a new base. And while I was at it, I made sure to improve the innards so that they have the right type of threaded insert. This is much cleaner and they hold better. So with the old hardware in the new base, I realized of course that this arm is a little too short since the new base is a little bigger. So with the new lever arm, I threw on the old neck. And then I decided that the old neck was too long and not tall enough, so I decided to make a new one. And then, for obvious reasons, I replaced my first attempt at a head. basic structure of the lamp is pretty much done. And so the only major part of the lamp that I did not replace in the last couple weeks was the bottom lid. Now, I still have to do wiring, so I'm not going to throw that on yet. Alright, so now that I have those passages for the wire drilled out, I'm going to go ahead and wire this thing up. And I am going to use wire nuts because this will be, in case I ever get an order for this lamp, this will be kind of the blueprint, and the wire nuts just make it easy to take apart later on when I have to open it up and I want to remind myself of how I put this whole thing together. But if I were assembling this for a customer, I would either solder joints or I would use some kind of bullet connector or something a little more secure than a wire nut. Alright, so that wraps it up for this lamp. Like you saw, I ended up having to remake almost every part of it over the course of kind of designing on the fly. But I'm really happy with how it came out. I think this switch has a really good feel to it. It makes a nice sound too. So I'll end the video with some B-roll of the lamp, but thanks for watching.